It's a glorious day in Texas to be associated with people like Donnie and Alex and Jorge. They're what making Get Up every morning worth it. Young men and women who sacrifice substantially so that we enjoy the freedoms that we have in this country today. I was just asking Elizabeth if they had children, and she said, no, not yet. And as that house becomes a home, we hope that it will always remind you that your state and your nation really love you and hold you up in our prayers every day. Great men and women. Great men and women always have risen to America's defense. They have selflessly placed their lives on that thin, dangerous line between us and those who would do us harm. The conflicts may change, the geography may change, from a hard winter at Valley Forge to those fortified beaches at Normandy, to our generation when that fog of battle with resupply in Quezon, or the deadly neighborhoods of Baghdad. But the spirit of service remains constant in this country. By stepping forward in the defense of freedom, our brave men and women have ensured that our cherished values will endure past our short time on this earth. As we reflect on their sacrifice, it is interesting to consider just how little we civilians are asked to surrender as our country remains on war footing. Robin, when you and I were on active duty, things were a little different. Things were a whole lot different for civilians when our parents and our grandparents were engulfed in that great world war. As our young men and women defend freedom overseas, we must do our part to strengthen America's position of power by pressing to greater energy independence in this country. Here in Texas, we've been building a rather deep and varied energy portfolio. We've been following a strategy that is both pragmatic and visionary. Around the world, Texas has a well-deserved reputation as a rich source of traditional fuel. Outsiders probably think every one of us have an oil well in our backyard. Natural gas burner that we turn on to read our newspapers and books by. In reality, we are proud of our history as a leading energy producer, fully aware that those traditional energy sources are an essential part of any viable energy strategy. In Washington, D.C., they seem to think that the only way to usher in a new era is to destroy the old one. And the way to create so-called green jobs, green economy, is to simply write a law or a set of regulations that say it is so. Then they use their favorite instruments of change, otherwise known as sweeping mandates and draconian punishments, to force the square peg into the round hole of reality. In the process, they undo decades of progress painting hardworking entrepreneurs like all of you in this room as selfish and destroy hundreds of thousands of jobs in the process if left unabated. A key part of our responsibility is educating our fellow citizens on the realities of the energy production and consumption that goes on in this country. And the fact that Washington's heavy-handed approach is not the way to achieve cleaner air, generate less expensive energy, or to attain greater energy self-sufficiency. For starters, I would offer them a look at our state's pursuit of an all-of-the-above approach to energy that has led to wind turbines dotting the plains of West Texas, one of the nation's largest biomass power plants under construction in Nacogdoches, and Dow Chemicals' biorefinery in Freeport that will use algae to convert wastewater and CO2 into energy. You know, those same folks up there might be surprised to learn about a Valero refinery in Sunray, Texas, that will be powered by its very own wind farm. Think about that for a second. A petroleum refinery powering itself with electricity generated by the wind. Yeah, only in Texas, brother. Robin, my point is there anything that paints a clearer picture of the synergy that's possible with traditional and renewable energy sources? Making new technology more available and affordable is the best way to see that technology put into action. Our progress comes from decisions that are made on the basis of sound business principles, not because of government mandates or because companies run in fear of extravagant fines. In Texas, we're making tomorrow's technologies more accessible by cultivating a job-friendly climate, offering incentives to make them more affordable, and then getting out of the way, Victor. That's one of the key principles, I think, of allowing the private sector to do what the private sector does best, which is create jobs, which in turn creates wealth. Is there a point in time government better get out of the way, quit being an impediment? And I think the results speak for themselves. Today, Texas produces more wind power than any other state in the nation. Matter of fact, we produce more wind power than all but 4 other countries. Texas is also increasingly investing, and very heavily, I might add, in solar energy, with 3 utility-scale solar projects scheduled to begin construction soon and others in the development phase. 11 utility companies are currently providing rebates for residential and commercial customers who install solar energy systems. Texas is the very picture of a state aggressively seeking its future in alternative energy through incentives and innovation, not mandates and overreaching regulation. We have the type of leadership in this state. Leadership at the Railroad Commission. Victor Carrillo's already been recognized here today, but Victor understands that it's that type of a strategy that we're pursuing in the state of Texas that's working. And, you know, the folks in Washington, I know if you were to ask them, they would tell you that we need a cap and trade system to improve our air quality in the state of Texas. Well, I actually prefer to call it cap and tax, which is a better, I think, description of what they're talking about. Their cap and tax proposal will not only increase the price of electricity all across this country, but it also will send thousands of Texas jobs overseas if it were to be implemented, as well as jobs in the other 49 states. You know, it'll be great if we kill cap and tax, but that won't solve the problems we're having with that increasingly activist Environmental Protection Agency. When the EPA declared carbon dioxide a toxic substance, they put countless businesses and farms and even large churches in their crosshairs. And they set the wheels turning, I think, to make a very serious mistake. Making that declaration at the very time that reports are surfacing about flawed and manipulated environmental data